Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my driveway and welcome back to a little series we're doing here on producing the second batch of Workbench kits. So last time, part 2, we finished up all the sawing, and this time we're going to get into, I guess, the back end of things, getting these things dried and getting them out of here. So today I'm hauling over to my buddy Eric's place. He has a vacuum kiln and he dries these things for me. So we're going to go through that process. So the truck is warming up because it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit right now. And then we'll go on the road, and I'll see you over there. All right, so a successful drive across the city. Here we are at the vacuum kiln. So I've shown this thing several times, but a lot of you have asked to see it in a little more detail. So we're gonna run through this thing real quick to kind of cover some of the basics of this particular machine. So this one is a continuous or a deep vacuum kiln, which means that once the vacuum is applied to the load stays under vacuum the entire time. That's gonna be a little bit different than the another style kiln, which is I guess not discontinuous or not non-deep, shallow vacuum, where the downside or the issue with pulling a full vacuum the full time is then you need some other way to introduce heat into the lumber. On a shallow vacuum, that's gonna be done by air. So a partial vacuum or a lower vacuum is pulled after the wood is heated. Once the wood loses heat and moisture, the vacuum is released, the heaters kick in and heat the wood back up, and the cycle continues until it's done. With this, we have these hot water plates which introduce heat directly into the wood the entire time. So this one actually operates at a much faster rate than the other style. Of course, this comes at a higher price as well. So this one is a vacuum press. The press component there is actually one of the pretty awesome features of this. You can see the lid, which goes on top of here, is a rubber membrane. So if you've done any vacuum bag veneering or anything, you can use atmospheric pressure to clamp things. So when this lid goes on and vacuum is applied, the rubber membrane collapses and compresses the entire stack into this tub, and you have, what is it, Eric?
80,000 pounds of down pressure.
You have
a semi-load down, pressing down on it.
You have a fully loaded semi parked on your stack of wood, which which is one of the cooler advantages of this, is that everything coming out of here is going to be dead flat because it can't move or warp during the drying process, which is pretty ridiculous.
You're actually pulling the vacuum down to 4 on the HG, which is about the equivalent of being at an airliner at about 30,000 feet. So there is very little atmospheric pressure in there, which lowers the boiling point of water so low that it doesn't take a lot to heat it up and get the wood to dry. I mean, look, we're gonna dry 6-inch thick material in 7, 8, probably 9 days. I won't push it too hard, but I mean, that's 2 years worth of work anywhere else, or a year and a half.
Right.
And we're turning this into a week and a half project,
which is pretty incredible.
It's incredible. And I mean, just look at these cherry boards. They're just as flat as a pool table.
Yeah, so these came out and they are like as sawn, like there's basically no warp in this. One's got a little tiny cup, but look at this guy.
I mean,
that's like right off the saw.
Right.
And that's ready to go.
You just feed it right to the planer and you're done.
Because you don't normally dry stuff like this. You usually dry them like 5/4 and 8/4.
8/4, 10/4 walnut mostly. That's a 7 to 10 day, depending on if it's right off the log or if we've let it air dry some.
Yeah, and then if I bring my slabs that are like, they're 10/4 and they've been air drying for a while, it's like 3 days. Yeah. To knock them down to that final thing and they're done.
Right.
And they're flat.
And they're flat.
And we've also tried things that are warped to begin with.
And flatten them.
You flatten them and they actually end up flatter coming out of the kiln.
Right.
Which...
Right. Yeah, you can take, sometimes you just take a warped one that you'd normally just throw in the garbage that's up 2-3 inches. If it's got 20% moisture in it, you can flatten it. Not dead flat, because it's got the natural twist, but it's close.
You can take a lot of that out.
It really is amazing.
So the way that you kind of went about this sort of decision was essentially converting your lumber supply into like a just-in-time type of model, because your lumber is stored in log form.
Yes.
Essentially, it's not sawn, and you can have whatever you need sawn and ready to go for the next production batch.
Right. If I know 2-3 weeks from now that I need 8/4 walnut, you can literally saw it and have it at the shop ready to go. which, you know, it's just unheard of a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and logs are a lot easier to inventory than dried lumber.
Right.
'Cause you
Just
don't
treat
need-
the ends of them. We treat the ends the day we cut them.
Yeah.
To protect them.
But you're not warehousing tens of thousands of board feet of sawn dried lumber.
You don't have to at all.
Right.
No. And that's the beauty of what we do. You can, and you don't have to leave the lumber sit after it's dried, because unless you have it in a controlled environment,
Right.
you're back at 11% in the summer within 3-4 weeks, I'd say.
Yeah, so if you stack it out like in a barn or a shed or a
can't.
thing,
Don't
it
even
just picks
bother
up
drying
moisture
it.
already anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We
you're,
found
you're
that
running
you
it
can't.
back to the kiln again just before you use it.
You just simply, in fine furniture, you're in my opinion, you're wasting your time. You can't dry some to 8% and then leave it sit, because it's going to go back to 11.
Yep.
And we don't like to glue anything above 10%. 9.5 is really pushing it.
I would say that's definitely pushing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So how long have you had this thing now? Was it
This
3
is
years?
3.5 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. Yeah. And it runs, pretty much round the clock. Except for, there's this, sometimes around the 4th of July, we just take a break from it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's running.
I didn't realize it was that long already.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a log book here. It's just pages, just every,
Do you know how many thousands of board feet you put through it
oh boy.
at this point? Would you even have a guess?
150,000 board feet, maybe?
That feels low.
It could be. I'm just guessing. I never sat down and added it up.
I bet it's more like, it's probably 200 or 300.
It could be. Yeah, because there's some loads that it's only in there 2 or 3 days.
Right.
I mean, you can take 5/4 maple and pretty much walk to the house and come back and unload the kiln.
Yeah, maple dries
It's
pretty
unreal.
quickly.
24, 36 hours on some of it, and it's dry.
Yeah. And this one is, if you have it perfect, 1,000 board feet per load.
Yes.
If it's perfect.
Yep. And it's interesting, as time has gone on, you can eyeball so close to what you need to get to fit, and you're only a couple boards off.
Yeah.
You just get good at doing that.
So this is probably like one of the better ways to go about drying stuff, like this exact way with the press and the plates and all
It
of
is,
that.
because you really don't need a ton of space to do this.
Yeah,
and
this is basically like
this is a
what
30
this?
by 40 garage.
Well, even like in this half over here, the other is like storage. Like
Right.
this is what, 20 by 30?
Yeah, probably. I think the machine's 22 feet long by 5.5, 6 feet wide.
That's pretty good. And then, so because you got the plates in here, that involves a little more labor for loading. So you have the, what's that called? The airlift thing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Suction
vacuum
pod thingamabobber? Gantry crane? Or bridge crane thing?
Yeah, we just built a bridge crane.
So you got a little bridge crane set up in here with the vacuum pod, so you can move these plates around. They're not particularly heavy, but they're awkward. What, like 100 pounds?
About 75.
Yeah, so they're awkward. We've moved them.
They're awkward.
They're very, very awkward because what are they?
Yeah.
16 feet long?
Yeah, they're 16.5 feet long.
Yeah, and they're floppy.
Right. But what I like about this, if we get custom orders, customer wants an 18-foot long table. We just cut the log 18.5. You put it in here, it's flat.
Drop it in.
Right. In a couple days, it's done. It's so easy to do. And we found when we put it in an other kiln, you really got to spend time stickering that to keep it. Because in an 18-foot table, you can get a 1/2 inch of twist in it or more.
Easy.
Right.
18,
and
that's a lot.
We just cut it at the thickness we want it at. Because we know it's only going to go through the planer one time each side because it's going to be that flat.
So there's another advantage there too, is you have less waste in the end.
We don't ever have to say, oh my goodness, we have to go a 1/2 inch or an inch plus on this because we're worried about the twist, because we're not worried about the twist.
Yeah, you're not worried about flattening.
Correct.
Just clean up the surface.
Just cleaning it up.
Yep. That's crazy.
Right. And what I think is probably, other than the speed, the checking on the ends is just about non-existent. I mean, you normally dry, you start getting cracks up this, and we could mark one of these and do it after the video. You're not going to get that checking.
We'll look at number 4 when we come back. I mean, when we did the first initial round of these things, like they came out exactly the same as they went in.
And the color stays nice and bright. It
does.
doesn't degrade the color. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Degradation.
Yeah, if you don't want staining.
If you
it'll
don't
be
want it to
degrading.
look stained, then this is the machine for you.
Yeah, so especially with maple, like you put a nice bright piece of maple in this thing, you're gonna get a nice bright piece of maple out. It's not gonna yellow.
Right. I mean, I'm gonna just grab one. And that's silver maple. That's not hard maple.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
That's what I mean.
that's
It's
straight white still.
right.
That hasn't changed at all. Normally
No.
that would be like orangey red.
Right.
So you had for 3 years or 3.5 years. And then what was the investment cost on this this machine here?
With we had to have a drain, and we had to have the heat system. So we put in a natural gas boiler, and plus the machine and the plates were about 130.
Right. So it's not just the cost of the machine you have to look at if you're looking at buying one of these things.
Right.
It's the infrastructure.
The infrastructure to build the gantry, to get the lifting system. You know, get the water
building to put
plugged
it
in. We had to get all that put in. So if you already have existing water and you're not having to deal with some of that, that's obviously going to save you some money. But
Right.
we had to put all the infrastructure in place to get it to go.
And would you do it again?
Yeah, it's been a great machine.
Or would you get a bigger one?
Yeah, it's about as fast as I want to go. But there's people that have the larger machines that are running, you know, but they have big machines that vacuum up the loads and drop
Yeah.
them in plates on the plates. And
In one in single lifts. So
Yes.
when we load this, we'll do one piece at a time, but they could take the entire thing, pick it up, and set it in there as one unit.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
But you go a lot faster.
it's.
But if you're trying
you're
to
in the
fill
millions,
if you're trying to fill 4,000 feet at a time,
right?
that's
Well,
a
if you're
little
filling
different.
a 12,000-foot kiln, and I know a couple guys that got multiples of them. I mean,
That's a
you're
lot.
talking about a couple, 2 or 3 semi loads at a time of lumber.
Gotta get them in.
Right, you have to keep it moving 24/7,
Yeah.
and I mean that's a lot of lumber to deal with.
I can't even like mentally do that
Right,
in my head, thinking like what that would even look like.
right, it's a lot. You're not moving it by hand. Yeah, I bet you if you double the size of this machine, that'd be about as much as you'd ever want to do by hand.
Yeah, that's the other thing with this too, is because it's a much faster process. You're flipping loads
Right,
frequently.
correct. Yeah, it takes about 90 minutes from popping the lid open to unloading it to reloading it. So, which is
If you're having a good day.
if you're having a good day. Right. It depends on the
When
thickness.
Matt comes over with his crazy things.
Yes. Yeah, if you're trying to hodgepodge stuff in, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
But what's fun too is the beauty of this machine is I can take 2 foot long, 3 foot long, and literally just throw them in there and dry 'em.
Mhm.
You don't have to have 8-foot lumber. You can use cutoffs. You can do the crotches of trees. It doesn't make any difference. This
Yeah.
machine does not care.
Yeah, well, especially because you're not trying to sticker a load. As long as it's on the plate
If
somewhere,
it's on the plate, it's good to dry.
that's a lot nicer than having to sticker everything and having it all
Right.
in there all uniformly and trying to balance it all. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Just working on the jigsaw puzzle part of it. Sometimes you got to get the chainsaw.
we get the
and
trim saw out,
Right.
make everything fit.
Thank April for that. Yeah.
This thing is actually pretty handy to have in here.
Well,
It's
it's nice.
pretty darn good. And the last thing I think we haven't talked about is how big is this chamber?
This is 1,000 board feet.
Right, but give me
It's-
some dims.
Yep. It's you're going to get an 18-foot lumber. So this is 18.6, and then it's 4'2". So on the plate, you're getting 4 feet. So you're basically going you're getting 2 8-foot sections. So right at dead center, you do an 8'3" or 8'4" cuts on ours for our 8-foot dimensional, and you can put 2 rows of those in. So if you're doing 12s or something, 12s are really hard to do. You got to have some 4s to fill it up.
Right.
So it's either do double 8s, which we do, or we just cut the logs at 16 foot. Or I'm sorry, we cut them at 18'6". If we know that we need, like if we got a really nice walnut trees, we're going to cut them long, shorten them as necessary.
All right, so I think it's probably touching on the one downside of this is that the plates have to be supported all the way through, so you
Yes.
can't really have a whole lot of dead space.
Correct.
You need fillers.
You do. It's tremendous amount of downforce pressure.
Yeah,
It's-
you'll warp those plates.
You can bend them. It's got that much power.
Yeah. So I think. Oh, and how deep is it? Is it 22 deep? Is that
I
what
think
it
it's
was?
24. Good measure. Honestly, I don't remember.
Do you know off the top of your head when you're doing 5/4 how many layers you usually have?
I think it's 13 rows.
13 rows of 5/4?
Yeah. So you're 21 inches.
Is that with the plates or no?
That's with the plate in the bottom.
So you can fill that, and the plates are 1/2 inch?
No, they're not even that. They're like 3/8 of an inch.
Okay. So you got very little dead space from the plates, basically. It's like having thin stickers.
Right. And on 5/4, if it's air dried, you can actually double stack the rows before you put a plate in, because it dries it so fast it doesn't even matter. So we put the wider boards on the bottom plate, put the thinner boards, just dead stack them right on top of that one, and then put the next plate on top of that.
You got
like a double sandwich, like a double bologna sandwich out of it. Exactly. It just saves time. It saves plates. It dries. It doesn't make any difference. You're just sucking out the last 15%. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. And actually, speaking of that, real quick, so how the moisture comes out of this. So when the moisture comes out, it's warm because of the heat from the plates, and then it will condense against the walls. And as it condenses along the walls, it flows down into the basin here at the bottom. And the drain is down here somewhere? There it is.
Yep, right at the bottom, a little wire mesh.
And then it drains out that little wire mesh area. This is pretty toasty.
So the water flows out there, but the vapor goes out here.
Oh.
This is where it's sucking it's doing the draw from here.
Okay. And then this is obviously where all the plates hook up. So you have essentially a manifold built into the bottom of the whatchamacallit, tank, tub thing.
So if you're drying lumber, just remember, don't touch the lumber to the side of the kiln. Because
we know that one.
This will sweat and it'll actually just leave a wet spot on your wood.
Yeah, so you don't want anything touching the walls, which we learned.
I've learned that.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start dumping some giant slabs in here and see what happens, I guess.
Okay, let's throw it in. I'll watch it.
I don't know if you're serious. You look serious.
Super live.
You're very good at looking serious.
It's just hard to believe we're going to dry this.
Just cut this like it is.
Push.
Go down?
Just push.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. You did a pretty even cut. Yeah, they seem to be nice.
These ones are ridiculous. There's 2 pieces in each quarter. After we cut the rest off. So like getting that weird wedge at that angle and making 2 angled cuts was interesting.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you want to jump in or whatever you want to throw it. Throw it, slide it, lift it, whatever. What do you got?
Look how big this is.
This is ridiculous.
Agility training.
Exactly. Right out to the edge on this one, okay? Go past the edge of the plate just a little bit.
Alright, so the kiln's all loaded, the plates are warming up, so Eric's not going to put the lid on right now, but I'm going to go ahead and throw in some old footage of the lid going on so you can see what that looks like, and then we'll see you in a little while to unload. Yeah. Can you pop me a bag of popcorn while you're at it?
Start sucking our way right down.
So while the bench tops are in the kiln, I think I'm going to clean up a little bit so I have my giant scrap pile, which I need to do something with. I need a bunch of dunnage and stuff for stacking wood because now I have this machine, which has 2-inch thick forks, and that's quite a lot thicker than this one. So with this, you can put any kind of 2x material between what you're trying to pick, and your forks will clear. With the bigger machine, you need something greater than 2 inches, so I'm going to cut some 3x3 blocks out of what I have here. Just kind of work through all these strips and get what I can. Just try and get some usable material out of all this scrap, and then just clean up all the little stuff and get rid of it. So a little bit of cleanup work today, and then I guess we'll go see the slabs when they're ready to come out of the kiln. so that put a real nice dent in the pile here. Most of the little stuff's gone. So I think next I'm gonna get some 8/4, and I'm gonna get that out of all these weird chunks and things. So a lot of this is gonna be, well, recovered, I guess. I think last year I cut 8/4 and 4/4 out of all this stuff. This year I'm not gonna bother with 4/4. Try and get through this as quickly as possible. All right, we're back 16 days later, ready to unload. I don't know, pretty uneventful, Eric? Just like last time?
Boring.
Just sits there and runs. So we're going to get these things unloaded and get them onto the pallet, and we'll take a look and see how things kind of look. We do a quick kind of external moisture reading. What, 8? Yeah. Pretty.
Yeah, these turned out nice.
Well, nice looking stuff. Those weed trees, man.
No problem.
You got it?
Yeah, we'll leverage it.
You got it. I'll get the next one.
Get the clipboard and the whistle. Okay, my way. Okay, good. Okay. I'll try to back up a little, get some room. Maybe you should just hop up here. I'll hand you this in. Maybe that makes more sense.
Ah. Take your word for it.
Oh,
I'm stuck on this side.
boy, you're getting up there now.
It keeps getting taller.
It's growing.
Good?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's not going on top.
No, pull it your way. Okay, push down. Walk right around the.
Okay, there's the stack. Let's get it inside. So once I get the material back to the warehouse, I take the whole pile apart and start sorting. So I want to get bench tops paired up into pairs. So I have pairs of bench tops that are, fairly similar as far as color and grain go, and similar as far as size go. So I know there are some people that wanted some wider bench kits, so I will specifically make a wider pair for those folks, but the standard kits get paired together in the same way. So once I have my kind of pairs made up, I'll start photographing them and sending them out to the folks who pre-ordered them. I go in the order the orders were received, so I'll send the first person in the list a few different options. They can pick their favorite, and I just keep going down the list, removing the chosen bench kit from the list and just kind of working down until I get through everybody, or until I run out of benches, whichever comes first. With the remaining orders that I have, they're all full kits, so they're going to include the base material as well. So I want to make sure I pull base material that's going to match the tops as well. So in this case, we have base material from both logs and then the extra log. The base material from the older log is going to have that sort of colorful spalting, which is going to go better with the bench tops from that first log. So I try and pair those together so people are getting a bench kit that all kind of matches, color and grain wise. Now, once I have the approval that someone wants that actual kit, I can start palletizing it and getting it out to them. So one thing I like to do is set all the pieces up on the forks and unitize the entire bench kit. That way, the entirety of the order is all strapped together separate from the pallet. If the straps that tie this bundle down to the pallet get damaged, or they snap or whatever, the entire bundle of stuff doesn't spill all over the warehouse or the truck or wherever it happens to happen, as the people that are moving the stuff around are moving it around. It's especially common as you bundle something down to a pallet, as someone is sliding their forks into the pallet. It's very easy to catch one of the straps on the forks and break that strap, and that it's then your whole order goes all over the place and can get kind of lost or mixed up. So I try to make things as foolproof as possible through the shipping process, so it arrives to the buyer in as good a condition as possible. So that is the second batch of workbench kits, from log all the way through to someone making their workbench. Always nice to get those out to people. They're really excited to get their dream bench put together, and a lot of times what I'm able to provide to them is exactly what they're looking for that dream bench. So I'm happy to have another round of folks with a beautiful workbench, or the material to make said beautiful workbench. Now I know I've gotten a lot of questions about the next kind of round or batch of them, if I'm going to do one or what have you. So I will be doing another one, because I do have at least one person from my original pre-sale that still needs a bench. So I have to at least get that one out. Well, I'm going to hold off until probably in the fall, once I have an idea of what logs I'm able to get. That's been my biggest issue, is actually obtaining the correct size log to make these things. So I'm probably going to switch it up a little bit and sell what I think I'll be able to get out of the logs that I have in the fall. Also, the sort of experiment with the flat sawn benches seems to have worked as well, especially that big wide one, the single slab workbench. That one, at least sitting at the warehouse, is still nice and flat and hasn't really done anything goofy of yet. Before I make a final call on that though, I'm going to let it sit through the summer months. As the humidity in the air rises, that should cause it to maybe do something, So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. But it's very promising. So a single slab, this chunk bench top kit is probably also going to be something that I'll have in the future. So look out for that if you are interested in a workbench kit later on. Well, we'll keep growing this thing as I have time. So that is going to do it for this one. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on the workbench kits or anything back in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.